Hey, Doug, I'm here for Vegas Pro Insiders Daily, and today is April the 20th. The weekend's here yet again. 2 weeks to the Kentucky Derby, almost. So we got all that coming up, and we got a big weekend of action. Lots of NHL, lots of NHL Stanley Cup playoffs, lots of NBA playoff games, some of the various series, and of course, Major League Baseball. And the Vegas Pro Insiders Daily Inner Circle members are rocked and ready to make it happen. How good have they been of late? Well, let's take a look, shall we? Joe D'Amico, 5 straight NBA winners in the playoffs, killing it. Kyle Hunter, 27 and 13 on NBA totals, rolling with that. Jim Mack, 12 and 6, best bets, last 18, 66%. Dennis Macklin, I think he's 9 and, yeah, he is. He's 9 and 1 in his last 10 NBA plays. He's been doing fantastic. And Sean Higgs, as usual, I think he's 27 and 18 at the website with his best bets. That's been going very well. And yours truly, 60, 34, last 94 picks, period. Absolutely on a major roll. So right now, you can get a VPID membership today, $99.99 for 1 month, 30 days. Covers everything. Plus, Super Systems, Wise Guy Plays, the works. Okay, you can get it. Tremendous value, $99.99 for 30 days. Excellent way to go. Make yourself some money. Get in the winner's circle. That's where you should be, and that's where you deserve to be, and we want to help you get there as well. So, hey, today I have 7 free picks for you to go over, covering games throughout the entire weekend. We have baseball and basketball to cover. I do not have any NHL at all, and the reason that I don't, we did have some line moves, certainly, especially on Friday we had some, and I think there's at least one for Saturday. But all of those are basically on favorites that are minus 200 and higher, and they're just going higher still. So it's not like, you know, there's anything to really talk about it in those cases, unless for some reason anyone wants to take the underdog, and I certainly don't, and I can't recommend that you should either on these NHL games. So we're not going to talk about the NHL other than what I just covered for you right now. So let's get into some of the action on Friday, Saturday, and we have a baseball series one to talk about as well. Boston Celtics are at the Milwaukee Bucks. The Milwaukee Bucks have shot over 53% in 2 games, and they did both of those at Boston. And yet they trail in the series 0-2, and they have failed to cover either game. That's pretty unusual, to say the least. However, they're minus 15 in turnover margin altogether. So that has been their detriment, and Boston has made more 3-pointers as well. So that's really where the series has gone. Now in this one, the lack of faith then in the Bucks, even being at home, has seen them drop in the spread from -6 down to -5. And at the same time, neither defense is being given much credit, as the total has climbed from 202.5 up to 205. Now myself, I have to agree with both line moves. The Bucks, when they're a home favorite this season, 6 or less, 3 and 14 against the spread, and they're 16 and 3 over when the combined score of their previous game was 215 points over 2 consecutive games. So I like Boston with the points, and I like the over. Now, let's move ahead to some Major League Baseball on Friday night. We got the New York Mets at the Atlanta Braves. And go figure, the Mets with Noah Syndergaard, a falling favorite. Now, a week ago, you never thought that, right? And so that being the case, but it is where we are right now. The Mets have lost 4 out of 6, while the Braves have gone the other way. They've won 5 out of 7. So with that in mind, the Braves... So I don't know if I mentioned, I've train of thought here. They opened at -160, the Mets did, and they're now down to about -140. Now, the Braves have the best offense in the National League, averaging 5.8 runs per game, and they have had some success against Syndergaard, who has a 3.98 ERA, so that's a little higher than his career average. I do have some concerns, though, about the Braves. Sean Newcomb, I'm not a big fan. Guy has above average talent, but I don't think he's tremendously talented from that standpoint. So that's a concern for me, and why waver a little bit. However, I cannot look past, I should say, the Mets are 0-10 in road games against the teams that have a bullpen ERA of 3.45 or lower. So I'm going to have just a lean with the Atlanta Braves as a home dog on this one. Next up, Toronto and the New York Yankees. Now, last night, the Blue Jays had their chances against the Yankees late, but just didn't quite get it done. So in this AL East encounter, that last night was a low-scoring game, 4-3, and there are some that are anticipating another lower-scoring game, especially people with put down some big bucks on a game. They have lowered the total from 9 to 9.5. Now we got Marco Estrada against Sonny Gray in this one, and I'm going the other way to where the direction of the total is going. I'm going to go over. And here's why. The Bronx Bombers this month, 11-2-1 over. Sonny Gray, when pitching at home since last season, 8-0 over against teams averaging 1.25 or more home runs per contest. I like the over, and I like it a lot on this one. And surprisingly, even though the line went down, 93% of the tickets written thus far, the places that sources that I use to find out this information, are on the over also. Now let's talk a little series baseball. And this one, I thought this was interesting. The Boston Red Sox, who just demolished, I mean, they just crushed the Angels, beat them to a pulp. Man, they're playing fantastic baseball. They're at Oakland, and they're only a -150 series favorite. I find that difficult to believe, okay? I can't come up with a good reason as to why. I mean, the Red Sox, since they lost on opening day, they're 16-1, okay? That is flat out tremendous. And that's a 16-2 since 1900. They're only the 7th team to start 16-2. So that's how well they're playing. Now, you know, I understand at some point they're not going to score 6.1 runs a game. And I also know at some point their starting pitching staff is not going to have a baseball best 1.98 ERA. I get all that, okay? But Oakland's not good, okay? Boston is playing, as I just said, fantastic baseball. I just can't see how you go against Boston in a series, even though they're on the road. No, and Oakland's got a couple, you know, Salmonella's going to pitch the middle game, but, you know, Boston's going to line up, at least scheduled to, Drew Pomeranz, Chris Sale, and David Price, 3 games in a row. I don't see 2 victories in there for Oakland. I have to take Boston on that one. I think that's actually a pretty good value, actually. Let's move ahead to Saturday. Philadelphia. Miami Heat, NBA, Game 4. Now, thus far, on the even-numbered games, on the odd-numbered games, Philadelphia has been tremendous in scoring, shooting the ball. I think they've had 18 three-pointers in each of those 2 games. In the middle game, though, not as much. Miami played better defense, which they really haven't done a lot of in this series, quite honestly, if you've been watching. But the total in this one has sunk from 217 down to 215. Now, I can understand the theory behind it that Miami's going to play better because they lost at home. Now they're home again, and so you have all that. That's all fine and good. But the other thing I'm looking at, so the first and the third game are over. The middle game only missed going over by 1 basket, 2 points. So with that in mind, I think the over is the play in Game 4. I think we're going to continue to see, but now that especially that Embiid is back, I think they'll still see plenty of points. That game is, by the way, at 2:35 on TNT Eastern Time Saturday. Now at nights and Saturday night, Houston goes to Minneapolis. Now, there's been a few things in this series that have been a surprise. The first one was that Minnesota covered Game 1. I thought that I didn't have any action on the game, but that was a surprise to me. And then in Game 2, there was no surprise again. It was not a surprise, though, that Houston would win by 20. But what was stunning is that James Harden was 2 for 18. I mean, I didn't bother to look up, but I can't imagine too many James Harden games where he took 18 shots and missed 16 of them. Okay, that doesn't happen very often, but yet they still crushed him. So I factor all those things into play here, and I see the fact that that Houston opened as a -3-point favorite, and they're up to -5. I think they're going to get the job done here again. I think the Rockets are, I think they're in great shape. I think you'll get a valiant effort out of the Timberwolves in this one, but I think in the fourth quarter, that's when the money takes over, when the stars shine, and I think that's when Houston's going to come through. So I think they're going to cover it. 92% of bettors are in agreement with me. So, hey, Doug Upstone for Vegas Pro Insiders Daily. Have a tremendous weekend. Hope you get lots of winners. I plan to. VPID members are already planning to, and you can become a VPID member for only $99.99 for 1 complete month. So, enjoy the weekend. As I mentioned, I will too. This is Doug Upstone for Vegas Pro Insiders Daily. I am out.